Well, I have missed y'all. It's been a while since I was able to put a video on here, and I've just been busy and had a few little challenges here and there, but we are doing good, and I hope all of you are too. Tonight, I'm going to make a really simple recipe. I know a lot of you, after working all day and coming home, you need something quick and easy. And this is my version of beef and macaroni. So, we'll get started. I have 2 pounds, well, it's almost 2 pounds of ground beef in this pan, and I'm just browning it. Now, while that browns a little bit, I'm going to chop up an onion. Now, you don't have to put onion in yours. If you don't like onion, feel free to leave it out. We love onion, and it's so good for you. So I'm just going to dice this onion up. So it is cold outside today. It's like a high of 41 today, but that wind is so cold. I went out grocery shopping just a little while, or actually just went to pick up groceries that I had ordered online. Didn't take my scarf, and I was about to freeze. So there is one onion cut up. I'm going to stir this ground beef just a little bit. I'll move you over here where you can see what I'm doing. And get some of that grease out of it. Then I'm going to pour that grease off before I put my onion in, because we don't want all that grease in our finished product. Okay, I'm going to let that cook for just a couple of minutes, and I'll be back. Alright, so our ground beef is browned, and I'm going to pour off that excess grease, because we don't want all of that in there. It'll just be too greasy. Alright, so that was almost 2/3 of a cup of grease that we just didn't need. Alright, so now I'm going to put our diced onion in, and I'm just going to let that cook for just a little while till the onions soften just a little bit. And while that is cooking, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. And that's about a teaspoon. Don't want to put too much because you can't take it out, but you can always add more. So we're going to sweat those onions just a little bit. And while that's cooking down a little bit, I'm going to show you what else we're going to add. This is Rotel. If you've never used Rotel, this is a staple in my kitchen. In dishes that you want just a little bit of a bite, this is just canned tomatoes with green chilies cut up in it. So if you got a recipe for that you want just a little bit of heat in, it's not hot, but it does give it just a little bit of bite. So I add a can of Rotel, and then I add 1 can of tomato sauce, and that's a 15-ounce can. And then we're going to add a good chili powder and macaroni. All right. So those onions are starting to soften just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pour our tomato sauce in, and our 1 can of Rotel. Wow, that smells good. Okay, now as far as the chili powder, there's all kinds of chili powder. Some of it's hot, some of it's not so hot. I like this McCormick brand. It seems to have a little bit more flavor than some of them. So I'm going to open that up. And I am going to start out with 2 tablespoons of Actually, I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon because this is pretty good flavorful chili powder. So I'm going to start out with 1 tablespoon of chili powder. And now I'm just going to let that simmer for about 15 minutes till those onions get good and soft, and then I'll be back. All right, I'm back, and our beef and onions and chili powder and rotel and tomato sauce has been simmering now for about 10 to 15 minutes. The onions are soft, and so now it is time to add our macaroni, but there is not enough liquid in this for the macaroni to cook in. So we are going to add, this is 2 cups of water. So we're going to add that to the pot. Now I'm going to bring it back to a boil. And then I'm going to add my macaroni. And that shouldn't take long. Now this is an organic, just elbow macaroni. You could use any kind of pasta you want. You could use penne pasta or spirals, bow ties, whatever you like. We like just plain old macaroni. All right, that's starting to bubble just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add our macaroni. And that's about a cup of macaroni probably. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more than that. I'm going to add about another half cup. All right. Now when that comes back up to a boil, we're going to turn that heat down a little bit and just let it simmer for as long as it takes to cook that macaroni, which by the package direction says about 8 minutes. So see, it's starting to bubble up and boil just a little bit now. Stir it up good, make sure there's nothing sticking on the bottom. And that's the wrong size of the egg. Okay, so I'm going to turn that heat down. I had it on 5 and I'm going to turn it down to about 2. I'm going to put the lid on and we're going to let it cook for 8 minutes. Okay, this has been cooking now. I told you that macaroni needed to cook about 8 minutes. Actually, this has been cooking about 10 minutes. And I did taste the broth to see if there was enough chili powder and salt. And I'm going to add a little bit more salt, maybe a half teaspoon. And I'm going to add another teaspoon of chili powder. Remember, we added a tablespoon to start with. But I'm going to put another teaspoon of chili powder in there. This is kind of like a chili, except it doesn't have beans in it. It has pasta. So I'm going to stir that in. Now you can see it's been cooking. Remember, it started out really liquidy. But as it's been cooking, that macaroni has absorbed most of that liquid. So you will need to stir this several times while it's cooking to keep that macaroni from sticking to the bottom of the pot. But that is all there is to it. That is beef and macaroni, Genie style. So this is the way I serve it. Now you serve it any way you want to. This would be great with a grilled cheese sandwich. But I just serve it with crackers and I put a little bit of shredded cheddar cheese on mine. So I hope you'll enjoy this. It's about as easy and simple as it can get. You guys have a wonderful evening and stay safe. We've been staying in a lot, but we're doing really great so far. So I look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye. You know, I just happened to think of something after I told you guys goodbye. This would be absolutely wonderful with a big baked potato. It would be, you could just open the baked potato up, pour this over it, and it would be like a stuffed baked potato from Wendy's. It would be so good. And top it with a little bit of cheese. Man, what a meal. So, hey, I need some feedback from y'all. So let me know when you try my recipes and how they turned out, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.